think all of our strengths have an inherent weakness. And you have to be aware of both sides. Otherwise, you're blind to something. And like, if I have a propensity to some weakness, for me to not want to be accountable or honest with that, it's going to get me. Yeah. Or another book I put in a lot of men's hands is Bo's Cafe, BO''S Cafe. And the first time I read that, Richard, to me, what it said was, don't get good at consequence management. Because what happens is, if I just keep hiding my weakness, but I almost get caught, I almost get busted, it almost gets me fired, whatever it is, but I get smarter. If I don't get honest with it, it's just a ticking time bomb. Like, it's getting bigger inside me, and I won't manage that forever. And I think that's part of being honest with yourself and working through your weaknesses as well as your strengths. Because when I work with somebody, and this is from my own experience, I didn't want to be sitting here on this interview saying, I still have that, I just manage it better.
Right.
Like, that's, to me, that's total bull crap, and sadly, I think too many people just learn a lot of crazy coping mechanisms. And every now and then the vat boils over, and it's like, oh, thank God, I only did that once this year or once this quarter, as opposed to, why not go free? Like,
Right.
why not be done with it? And I don't think everyone, or a lot of people, I don't know which, even believe you can go free of stuff, because the tenure, I've struggled with this for 10 years, 12 years, 18, 30 years. And it's like, no, man, you can go free. Part of the reason you stay stuck is your belief you can't go free. And so I don't teach coping mechanisms. I teach, like, let's figure out what the root of this is and get past it. So you don't have to be a better manager of your bull crap. Like,
Right.
I would hate to be who I was 13 years ago. Be very honest. I would. I'd be living in so much turmoil, knowing, like, you are going to F your world up again. You're going to do it, man. It's just a matter of time. As opposed to, no, I'm good. Actually, I'm good.
Yeah, I had a boss who, you remind me of him in many ways, and he had an
Did you like
expression.
him?
I did, actually. I learned a lot from him. But he was also from Ohio, so I don't know if there's something there. But
It's a good place to be from.
one of his favorite expressions was, "Leave your baggage on the carousel."
Yeah.
And the meaning, I think, is somewhat obvious, which is, if you carry that same baggage around everywhere you go, it's always going to be with you, and it's always going to get in your way. It's always going to be something that you're lifting. And I would love to hear your thoughts, because it's my feeling that, like you're saying, people have such a hard time actually facing and then letting go what becomes baggage. And I don't know why that is. To me, it's natural that you have to look it square in the eye and just let it go, because if it stays with you, it just eats you up.
Yeah. So for me, I carried my past for a while, and it was incredibly difficult. And I would even say, I can't forgive myself. And I heard a speaker, you may have heard him, David Jeremiah.
Mm-hmm.
He was teaching on the radio one day. I'm not a follower, wasn't a follower of his, just breezing through, and I heard, and he was talking about your past. So I stopped. And he said something that first I didn't believe him. He said, the Bible never teaches you to forgive yourself. And I'm like, that's bull crap. Like, it definitely does. Well, it doesn't. It doesn't teach you that. He said, what it teaches you is to make peace with your past.
Mm-hmm.
And so I listened to what he talked about. And I'm telling you, Richard, like, that suitcase, that thing, I learned through what he taught that day how to put my past down. And here's what it was. Like, one, make peace with your past. And there were steps, very, sequential things that he recommended and I studied and learned how to do. And then how do you get to where your windshield's bigger than your rear view mirror? Because
Right.
so many people, it's the other way around, and you keep looking back. And I heard this illustration years ago where it was three young boys in a field of snow,
Right.
and they're going to run from A to B. And one of them, while he's running, he just keeps looking back, right? And every time he looks back, he veers left or right. One of them, when he's running, he's looking down right where he is. And of course, he's meandering a little bit. And one of them is running toward the oak tree. And his tracks across the field are like an arrow. And I just always keep that in mind. It's like, remember, you're going somewhere. Like, every time you look back, you drift. And I thankfully learned how to quit carrying my past. And did you ever see the movie The Mission with Robert De Niro?
I did. Yeah.
Well, you remember he was carrying this man's armor, right? That it was his friend. It was his penance. And there's this moment, and believe it or not, Robert De Niro's a missionary in the movie. Maybe the closest he ever got to any role like that. But anyway,
Reserve comment.
A great movie. But there's this moment in the movie he's going to die because of carrying the past, the penance. And this person, if you remember, runs over with a knife, and everyone's watching. They think he's going to kill De Niro. But instead, he reaches back and cuts the rope off, and this armor falls off the cliff. And man, it is such a heavy moment. But again, that's an image in my mind of putting the baggage down on the carousel, because I've worked with guys who we can carry past, and you know them too, to where, man, you just don't have, that's another management skill, and you don't have to manage it. You go back a generation of ours, and you just work your ass off and you provide for the family, and we're good. You carry all your stuff. You don't talk about yours, I don't talk about mine.
Right.
And we see how damaged families are from that type of deal. I mean, there's validity in dealing with truth. There's validity in getting rid of the suitcase or the baggage. And yet, again, I just think so many of us are afraid to have those conversations.
Yeah, I look back, and to some extent it might be generational, but I think it's also kind of men in general. We tend to want to be a bit stoic, and what I've found is that the more I am that way, the more walls build up between the ones I love, because I'm not letting them in and seeing the things that pain me, the things that hurt me, that damage me, and I'm just pretending that they're not. And that wall just gets higher and higher the more you're keeping it inside.
Yeah, 100%. Like we're good at getting around and having a drink and burping and talking about nothing. And yet our hearts scream for a real connection to where we can just be ourselves. The people that study us out there say our greatest desire in life is to be loved for who we are, and our greatest fear is that we won't be.